लाइव हो तो
Can you guys hear me or see me?
Yes sir.
Good afternoon sir. Good afternoon sir.
Good afternoon Ashwini. Dr. Gaurav, this is the first time I'm meeting you.
Yes sir. He is our travel and Department of Travel Tourism head.
Okay.
Mr. Dr. RPS Gaurav.
Okay.
I'm just helping you to configuring this meeting, sir.
Okay, okay, perfect.
So just a second, Madam Shekha will join us.
Yeah, sure. We still have about 12 minutes according to my computer.
Yes.
This session is live. You can see this.
Yeah, I can see. I can see you for sure. What happens if I want to see who else are the others?
If they share their video, they will be on the screen, sir. They will be on the live.
Okay, sure. So while if they have any questions, they can come live and
yes, while they have their question, they can unmute themselves and they can open their camera and then they can ask and then they will be on the YouTube screen, sir.
Oh, perfect. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm asking all the basic questions.
No issues, sir. Thank you.
So how are all of you coping up with all the stress?
We are coping up well. We are continuously evolving with this digital strategies, how our students can be engaged into the digital arena, like this post-COVID arena.
Right, absolutely. I mean, a lot of things must be going on in students' mind now, a lot of uncertainty.
Yes, sir. A lot of things are going on.
Yeah. So your college is going through the placement season now, or the placement is all over?
Placement season is on, sir.
It's gone.
Yes, no, it's on, sir. It is in continuous process.
Okay. Okay, I'll see if I can share one of my screen, which is the first screen I wanted to share.
Yes, sir.
Before I start, so that's okay. I will just see if I can do that.
I'll just open activated share a screen for you.
It's only for the first slide. It's not necessary for the whole duration.
Right.
Because just to tell them what they can expect during the day, that's it. Can you see my screen?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay. So maybe I have to do something called a screen share, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me see how to do that. Okay, share screen. Yeah, I can see that now. So yeah. I share this. Can you see what is up on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Okay, I'll just use this for about 1 minute or so, and then I will straight jump into the topic.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Now all of you have disappeared from my screen. How to bring it back?
Sir, when you stop sharing, when you click on stop sharing, they'll appear in your gallery. Otherwise, they'll be who is speaking. They'll appear on the sidebar.
Okay, okay, you're right.
If you're speaking, if you're presenting, if you're sharing a screen, they will be appearing on the sidebar towards the right. And maybe
Okay,
3-4 people who are active presently, they will be you'll be able to observe them.
Okay, okay, fine, fair enough. But my voice is clear, right? Don't need to do anything on my speakers.
Voice is clear, sir.
Oh, good. So Manisha seems to be a fan of the Pokemon.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, Shikha.
How are you, sir?
Very good, very good.
So are we waiting for some other person or shall we start? Ma'am, अभी शायद नहीं आए हैं. Rahul sir? Hello, Rahul sir? Okay, ma'am has come, I guess.
Yeah, I've joined.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ashwini sir is the host. If you face any further problem, please contact Ashwini sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Shikha ma'am, I'm there only. I'm here only.
So shall we start or should we wait for some other participants?
No, ma'am, we can, ma'am, Shalja ma'am, Natraj sir have already joined.
I can't see him, but I can see Salil Chatterjee sir.
Okay.
He's also from ISTD.
Okay.
I don't know, Natraj sir hasn't joined yet, but we can start.
Okay, sure.
Maybe he'll join in between. Yeah. You can see in the waiting room.
I think Madam Shalja, I think Natraj may not.
Okay, fine. Fine, so we'll start that then.
Okay, sure. A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries, my faculty colleagues, students, and respected sir. I, Shikha Sharma, on behalf of Prestige Fraternity, would like to welcome you all in today's session. We are fortunate to have Mr. Salil from ISTD, Dr. Shelja Bakar ma'am, Associate Professor, HOD Marketing at Prestige Institute of Management, Gwalior, and Secretary ISTD Gwalior Chapter, and our eminent resource person, Mr. Arup Muzumdar sir. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to brief the profile of Sir. Sir has more than 25 years of global experience in the air conditioning and refrigeration industry. Various roles of increasing responsibilities in engineering, manufacturing, business development, sales and marketing strategies with United Technologies careers in India and Malaysia for 8 years, Amazon in Hong Kong for 12 years, Danfoss in France for 3 years, and Breco Whirlpool Company in Beijing for 2 years. Sir is most proud of building winning team across the globe to deliver outstanding performance. Sir is passionate to create a better future for the next generation and actively pursues his interest of developing talent across all levels through mentoring and life coach guidance. His work mantra is management is the most noble of profession if practiced well. Sir has a BTech from IIT Kanpur and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He is a regular speaker in industrial forums globally and has published several technical papers in international publications. He has also published papers on industrial marketing and spoken at universities in China and India. IIM Ahmedabad has a case study on industrial marketing based on the work done in the Chinese market. Sir is such a fascinating person, and we all are in for a treat today. So, without further ado, please join me welcoming all our dignitaries in today's session. Now, I would like to request Mr. Arup Muzumdar sir to kindly address the session with his gracious word. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shikha, for the very nice words of introduction that you did. I hope all of you guys can hear me well. If you can't, then Ashwini is there to always guide you. So before I start this session, I thought I should at least let you know what this session will cover so that you are prepared that what am I going to get. So the way, and I hope you can see my screen, the way I hope to spend the next 1 hour or so is spend a few minutes to explain to you my understanding of the top concerns you have regarding your own career, what is going on in your mind. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Then I will take a flashback and go to the past. And in the past, I will stay at a very top level and look at the inflection points in my career path, which took me from a young trainee, a management trainee, or a young engineer trainee to the top level in an organization across the world. What were the steps that I took which were right, sometimes which were not right? What was the decisions I took behind taking those steps, so you understand that what are the risk appetites which are involved in making career choices? Leaping to the unknown means when you explore something new, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. How do you get noticed in your organization, which is a very important element of your growth, because you will be competing for recruitment, you will be competing for promotions, you'll be competing for positions. But for that, the bottom line is you have to get noticed somehow by your organization. So there are certain skills involved in that. I'm going to talk about that. And lastly, because the world is becoming global, even though we are now talking more local, but the world is truly global. So you have to be sensitive to different cultures. So what are the things to consider about? That will cover the past. Now let's look at the future. So I will tell you my experience of how I look the future 10 years or 15 years of my working life. How do I want to spend my time on, and how will I measure my life? This is something you might like to consider at this stage, but it's a thought I want to leave you at this stage. And then there were a specific group of students who wanted to know from me that, look, we are very interested in a career in management consulting. So how do we go about in entering, let's say, the top 5 management consulting firm? How do we crack that interview? What is the secret behind it? Because there are hundreds of thousands of applicants for one position in a big 5 consulting firm. And then I will leave quite a lot of time, 15 minutes, for you to ask me any specific questions. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing the screen and go back to my story. So as I said, I want to spend a couple of minutes, and I want to keep the clock in front of me so that I don't run ahead of time, is what career should I choose? And my advice to you is that even though we are going through a tough situation, choose a career where you think you will be comfortable spending at least 2 to 3 years. Don't jump into a job right now just because you are getting a job, but just because you feel you will be employed and you will not be searching on the street. Don't do that. Look for what career you want to pursue. That is an important message. And the second important message is that during this period, whether you are unemployed or you're employed in the very beginning, you have extra time to reflect on what skills do I need to develop in order to do better in my existing job, or to acquire new skills which will help me move to the next level. So focus on your skill set. And the second focus is try to get into a company which is following somewhat into your area of interest. So the first message I want to give you guys is that in this time of uncertainty, where many summer interns as well as recruiters, they are pushing all the decisions. And I've known cases where established companies have actually pushed out the joining dates because they don't have a process of onboarding. So there's a period of uncertainty. So use this period of uncertainty because you cannot control it. It is beyond your control. So what you cannot control, there's no point in wasting your time on it. So my take on this current situation is that focus your energy on what adds value to you. That's it. Don't focus on anything else and don't waste your time on that. That is my first advice to you. Now let's take a jump back as to how my career started and how did I move and what decisions I took, etc., etc. So my first journey was from being a student or getting from a college level to from a school level to a college level. And because I got into the joint entrance exam, I had basically 2 things to choose from. Either I go for engineering or I go for pure sciences. I chose engineering because it was my passion, so I chose it. I have got another friend of mine, very close friend of mine, who wanted to do mathematics. But his parents didn't want him to do mathematics. The parents came to my parents and said, please tell my boy not to go into pure sciences like mathematics, because you know what? He was from Bihar, so he said, we are going to get no Dahej if the fellow doesn't become an engineer. So that was his parents' advice to him. Don't go for pure sciences because you will not get a Dahej. But that guy, he followed his instinct of pure mathematics, and he is a very well-known mathematician now in the US. So my advice for the first point in your career is that follow your passion. Don't follow the advice of other people that you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. Forget all that. Do what is your passion. Today, the beauty is during our time, there are only three choices. Either you are a doctor or you're an engineer, or you are basically useless. That was the broad classification we were put. But today, the choices have become phenomenal. You can enter into many different fields. So because your choices are so much, you can actually focus and pinpoint on which is the specific area that you really enjoy and where it can really add value to your career. So that would be my take on the first move that I made. Then the second move that I made was my first job out of college, just like you, the first job out of college. Okay. That to me was a bad choice because I joined a company where my priority at that point in time was somehow to get a job. It was not a COVID situation, but I still wanted a job because I had financial insecurity. So the choice that I made was a wrong choice. It was a bad decision. So again, as I said in my first thing, that make the right choice. And if you make a wrong choice, then don't stick with that wrong choice for a long time. Don't stick to it beyond 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Don't stick. If you made a wrong choice, get out of it as soon as you can. That is what I did. In the first job, within 6 months, I knew I was not into that company. I was not into that role, and I decided to move up. So I did not lose time. But if I look at my same batchmate who stayed with that same company, he's with the same company for the last 25 years, and he's utterly frustrated because he did not take the step of going out. So make your decisions fast. First job. Then the lesson from my second job. This was a job in which several hundreds of people applied. Me and my batchmate, the one I talked about, who's still with the parent organization or the current organization, both of us applied. I was called for the interview, or I was a shortlisted interview, but he was not. His academics was better than mine in terms of GPA. His schooling was the same as mine. His experience was the same as mine. So what made us different that I got shortlisted and he did not? So I asked the HR manager, how did you screen us? Because there was no ATS or automatic screening system then. How did you screen us? He said that you were able to communicate your message through your resume more powerfully than his resume. So one thing which has stayed with me consistently is the power of effective communication. And you will see that speaking about it again and again, that you have to effectively communicate. And that stage in my career, the effective communication to get entry was my one-page resume. So get that right. The second, so what happened was when I got this first job, I was in a group of about 8 people who were very qualified. We were the first batch of management trainees. So I started thinking out that these 8 guys, 2 of them are engineers like me, and 6 of them are MBAs. So in effect, they are more qualified than me. So what will make me stand out among these 8 people, not amongst the 1,000 people, because that bridge I've already crossed. But between these 8 people, how do I become the standout guy? The way to become a standout guy in front of a tough competition is to show to your boss that you are an eager guy who wants to contribute to the organization. An example, we were management trainees. All of us were going through orientation. One day, the finance director walked by us and said, guys, I need some help to create a financial network, or financial model of some classification of assets. Very simple job. You will probably have to spend about an hour every day after office. It will extend for about 2 weeks. So out of the 8, I volunteered and put up my hand and I said, I will lead this. That led to me getting recognized by the management that out of these 8 fellows, this guy is a starter. So I got noticed. When I got noticed, the chairman of the company also got that message and he started interacting with me. And then I was exposed to the idea of mentorship, which is what I really enjoy to do, is to mentor youngsters as well as professional managers of how to shape their career. Because if you get a good mentor who's serious about mentoring, you can learn a heck of a lot. And mentoring is a separate kind of a skill that not everybody has. And it is a separate program which I can do with any of you who are interested to know more. But that is a specific skill of mentoring. Now, because of this mentoring, he asked me, the chairman asked me once that, what would you like to expand your skills upon? So I said that, look, I'm operating at a country level now. I'm in India now. Can you give me a regional exposure? Means Asia Pacific exposure. He said, sure. And he sent me on a 2-year deputation to Malaysia. He said, go to Malaysia. And I said, what should I do there? He said, there's 2 things you have to do. One is you learn about the processes, about the people, about the culture of that particular region. But more importantly, you build your network. Because building your network is another skill which will help you over the long period of time. And what I did that time, that there was no emails or there was no phone call facilities available to us, fax was the easiest means of communication. So I took down the fax numbers of all the secretaries of all the departmental heads. I did not get the fax number of the departmental head. I got the fax number of the secretary. Because you know what? The secretary is the most important person who decides the boss's calendar. That what the boss will do in a particular day is decided by the secretary. So if you have a good relationship with the secretary and you can move yourself on the priority list, chances you will get an audience with the boss. These are simple things to tell you. Maybe you already know it, but I experienced it, so I'm sharing with you. That is the second learning. Then the third learning was about jumping into the unknown. So when I came back from Malaysia, my boss again asked me that, hey, now that you know about the global processes and you have been exposed to culture and you know a little bit about technical side and all that, but how about doing a startup? Then I asked him, what do you mean by a startup? He said, it means starting a factory from scratch. So I said, sir, I do not know about how to procure land, how to get the permission from the authorities, like the land authority, the water, the electricity, the safety, blah, blah, so many things. I don't know how to recruit labor policies. I don't know many things. He said, it doesn't matter. You are 27 years old, but I trust that you will do what is the right thing to do by using your judgment and by learning from people. So I took that leap. I leapt into it without having any experience of setting up a field or a greenfield project from scratch. So that is you can say that is a position I took because I had the risk appetite. I could afford to take the risk because at the worst, I would be sent back to my old position, but this gives me an opportunity to learn new things. So risk-taking appetite, depending on the situation, take a risk. So I took a risk and I jumped and I moved from the north of India to the south of India. Now, when I was progressing in that career, there are 2 things which stood out to me, which I really like to share with you, is that stand by your beliefs. Don't let your inner belief get in front of you. And I'll give you an example. When I hired a lot of people, I hired some contractor also to do some outsourcing work. So for example, we had a contractor who was doing the gardening for us or the housekeeping for us. And they were employing both women and men to do the housekeeping and the gardening, like watering the plants and cleaning dishes, tables, etc., etc. So once in my round of the factory at night, I asked some of the people about them because I am curious to know about people's life. And I found out that the women were paid 25% less than the men for the same amount of work that they did. I said, this is not right. Equal pay for equal work. So I did not consult anybody. I called the contractor the next day and I said that your contract is up for renewal within the next month or so. If you don't change your policy, not my policy, because my policy is only with you, so that I don't care. But if you don't change your policy of paying your guys equal pay for equal work, your contract is out. When I reflect on that, today I'm seeing many companies, they're talking about inclusion, they're talking about diversity, they're talking about equal pay for equal woman. But those are mantras which are people talking now in the corporate world and trying to shine themselves in a good light. But if it was right to me at the very start of my career when I was 27 years old, and I thought it was right, it was the right thing to do, the same applies to you. In your workplace, if you think this is the right thing to do it. You may succeed, you may fail. In this case, I succeeded. In one case, I failed. I will tell you my failure also. I hired 6 management trainee interns, just like I was hired when I was young. And all 6 were very bright. 5 were men and 1 was a girl, 6 interns. And a decision came to me to make a recommendation which one to choose to send to Singapore for a 1-year training period. My evaluation showed that the girl was far superior than the other 5 in taking that challenge. And I made the recommendation to my managing director because the decision was to be taken by him because it was an overseas assignment. My managing director says, she's a girl, she might give problems, we don't know what problems we'll go into, so you better choose a boy. I argued with him, but I lost my case. The girl was not sent and the boy was sent. But I lost my position, but I still made my position clear that everybody should have the equal right to any opportunity which was created. So in your career throughout, guys, always make sure that you do what is the right thing to do. Third learning from that career, or the second career, was I was at 8 years into that job. Means from my graduation, I was 8 years into the job, and I made a presentation to the group CEO who was from a US guy, and I presented to him my plans for the India market. While having dinner, he was sitting next to me and he told me that I liked your presentation because it was very well thought out. You looked at all the scenarios, you had a plan A, plan B, and you knew exactly what to do if plan A didn't work out. So your presentation was well thought out. So I would suggest you do an MBA. So I looked at him and said that, you know what, I'm 8 years into the job. I'm getting close to 29. How can I go into an MBA? I'll be the oldest boy in the class and people will tease me. And I can't even crack the CAT or the CAT exam. It's too tough. He said, give it a shot. I came home. I made up my mind. We'll go for a crack on the CAT. I studied hard for it after my office hours and I went for it, cracked it, got into it. So that is lesson number 1, is that if you make up your mind, put your whole focus into it, you will win. There is no question. If I had lost the first attempt, I would have still made a second attempt, but I would have gone for the best to start with. So lesson is, make up your mind, go for it. Don't deter or waste time. Now, when I went to college in Ahmedabad, what did I learn? A whole host of things. The most important thing I learned was exposure to people from different states and different background, because there are freshers from BCom. There were even professors of, we had a professor of commerce who was a student. We had doctors. We had people from all professions. So the learning was that how you learn from those people and in turn, build on your network. The one that I said before, build on your network. Today in my batch, of the batch of 1998, the people I am in the same batch are occupying some of the most senior positions you can think of in India, around the world. And I have a solid network for my engineering batch and my management batch. And I can reach out to any one of them, or they can reach out to anyone can reach out to me if they need any help to help somebody or to get some advice. So networking is very, very important. That is how I got my skills into Ahmedabad. Then the jump came that once you graduate from Ahmedabad, very well-known college, what do you do? What choice of career do you do? Typically, an MBA will always say, with 90% assurity, I want to be a management consultant. You ask him why, he will say it is sexy, it is high paying, it is prestigious. They will tell you all these things, okay, without knowing what does the life of a consultant actually means. And I was also into that track that the top guys in the college will go for consulting, and I chose consulting and I went into a consulting career. Within 1 year, I again realized this is not the place for me right now. I want to get out. But I used my time productively. How did I use my time productively? It's two things. I put up my hand amongst all the IIM candidates, not candidate, but IIM employees who were joining the consulting firm in volunteering. And that was an interesting exercise because the chairman of the consulting company said that I want somebody to help me work out a financial model. Out of all the 6 of us sitting in the Delhi office, I put up my hand and said, I will volunteer. He says, Beta, aao. He used to talk sometimes in Hindi, but he was the top manager of that consulting firm globally. He said, Beta, aao. I went to his room and he said that, look, this project is unofficial, so you will get no benefit in terms of pay, etc., money, etc., nothing. But what I assure you is that you will get learning. So I said, sir, I'm up for it. So every day from Delhi to Noida, because my office was in Connaught Place. So from Connaught Place to Noida, I used to go every day in the evening in his house for about 1 to 2 hours and work with him on a model, on creating a financial model. I was curious, why am I doing this? He said that, look, and I'm talking 20 years back, guys. He said that, look, I want to set up a call center. Like a call center, you have the BPOs these days mushrooming. He was one of the first one who thought of establishing a BPO in the country. And he said, I want you to set up the business model as well as the financials of how a BPO works. I had no idea of a BPO at that time. I had no exposure to a BPO, but I learned about it by talking to people, understanding finance, understanding many things, and I created the financial model. At that 10th month, 11th month, when I said that, look, I want to do something different, he gave me 2 choices. He said, look, I'm starting a new company with a BPO. It's a startup. So you have risk, number 1. So you can join me as a second employee of the new company I'm going to float, or you can stay in the same company, the same consulting company you are doing, or you can pursue anything else. I was risk averse at that point in time because joining a startup at that point in time was risky. So I said, okay, I will take the traditional path. I will go back to my industry where I know I will not fail 100% sure. And that was the time of the Asian financial crisis. And I didn't want any financial hassles. So I jumped to this next career, which took me to Hong Kong. But if I flash back my window and say that had I taken that choice of joining him, that company, which is set up that day, using the framework which he and I created, is a 20,000 people BPO company operating in Noida, which is listed in the New York Stock Exchange and is one of the top BPOs in the country. So I let go of that opportunity because my risk appetite was not good. But if I had done that, I would be in a totally different BPO field, but making tons of money and taking my life easy. But I chose the lesser risk option. So that is another learning for you guys, that evaluate, what you want to do, what is your risk appetite, and make a decision. Right. Now, so far, are you all okay with me? Just raise your hand if anybody I can see. All okay with me? Am I speaking too fast, too slow, or everything is okay?
Perfectly fine. We are with you completely.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we are with you.
Okay. So then my next trigger was to move from India to Hong Kong. And that was, I made a few notes to remind myself. Now, how did I land up from India to Hong Kong? Again, the same process, recruitment. Hundreds of people applied for that job. There were people from all over the world for this job, but my resume was shortlisted. So when the HR manager came to Delhi from Hong Kong and he interviewed me and he selected me, I subsequently asked him that, David, why did you choose me? You had so many applicants. he said, your application stood out. So I made an impression on him through my written communication skill, which was further amplified when I did a face-to-face meeting with him when he understood my oral communication skill. So look back. Every time I'm harping on that. Communication skill, communication skills, communication skill. Communication skill, which got me into Hong Kong. Okay, now I'm into Hong Kong. So what do I do? So whatever I was asked to do, I was doing, managing the business of about 14 countries, a lot of learning, everybody does that. But then how do I make myself to stand out? So I told my boss that I want to do something more than my regular work because I have a scope of work, but I think I'm underutilized. I can do more. So he added on more work to me, which in fact enhanced my learning in several different ways, which I will not go into detail, but again was putting up my hand and asking for more work to get noticed and to gather more learning. It also gave me the opportunity to widen my perspective. For example, if you are in a company, you look at the immediate stakeholders, that who are the people you deal with. For example, if you are in sales and marketing, you only think about your customers. You think about some maybe big customers, small customers. If you are in procurement, you think about your suppliers. But I was thinking much broader. I was thinking at a industry level. I was thinking at a government level. I was thinking at a university level. Why? Because one is you make your presence felt in the market, in the industry. And second, you make a contribution to that. Give you an example. China at that point in time was suffering a lot because of poor energy efficient products. They use so many air conditioners, 10 times more than India does, and it creates a lot of pollution. So I made a simple 4-page A4 size document, 4 A4 document, which was addressed to the top minister in their country, meant for the top minister of their country, saying what is the benefit if you move to a better efficient air conditioner, as simple as that. And the top level, you don't go into too much detail. You tell him that if you implement this policy, it will result in so many power plants that you don't have to make. So for example, if the government says I have to make 5 new power plants to supply the additional demand of electricity, but if I listen to you, I don't have to build a 5 power plant, then the government will listen that, hey, I'm contributing to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals that I've committed to achieve by 2030. It helps me. So I made that paper, sent that paper to our CEO in the US. Our CEO had a meeting with the Deputy Premier of China. Deputy Premier, you mean at a very high level. It is like Amit Shah kind of level. He met that person. He didn't say about all this detail. He simply said, this is our proposal. You can pass it to your people who can implement. In their country, just like we have Niti Aayog, or today I don't know what it is called. I don't know what it's called, but earlier it used to be called the Niti Aayog, or the policy making thinking body of India. So in China, they used to be called NDRC, National Development and Reform Council. So that 4-pager of mine became the base by which they implemented energy standards in China. I brought it back to India. I went to Dr. Ajay Mathur, who was the head of Bureau of Energy Efficiency in Delhi. And I told Dr. Mathur that, Dr. Mathur, if you implement the star labeling system, which today you see in all your air conditioner, all your refrigerator, you will save so many power plants. And Dr. Mathur gave me audience, listened to me, and he implemented that system, which is practically applicable throughout our country now, the star labeling system. I went to Thailand, spoke to the Thai minister. This is what you should do. So that is taking your presence to a level which is beyond what you're normally supposed to do. That is another lesson that I want to kind of tell you guys, is that think big. You have to think big. One of the things which I also did with universities I want to share is that I felt that university students are a great place where knowledge can be created. I went to the Philippines and I found that the Filipino students spoke very good English, but they had a lot of problem in getting a job because the job scene in Philippines is really poor. So I engaged with the University of Mapua Institute of Technology in Manila, Mapua. And I signed a memorandum of understanding with them that I want you, professor, to create an online university for us globally. And I want you to create the courses. I will give you the content, but since you are professors, you know best how to teach electronically. You create the course module. I will take all, or me and my company will take all responsibility of the hardware, of the IT network, and all that is needed. You just give me the paper document of how you want to do the course. It got me exposed to the student community. So I said, hey guys, what kind of job do you like? They said, look, even if the job is a BPO and we have to work in a graveyard shift, we are okay. We will work in the night and do technical support. So I said, absolutely fantastic. So I spoke to my colleagues in the US and I said that, what is your biggest pain point? They said that, look, we have about 1,000 customers, but we pay attention to only the top 10, top 15, top 20, maybe top 50. But the others, I leave it to them because they're small. I mean, even if they don't go away, I don't really care. So I told him that if you give him a hotline, 1-800 something, and if somebody was on the phone who could help your customer, would you take that offer up? He said, sure, why not? So I started this project in Manila and set up a rudimentary call center of starting with 7 people supporting the US for American or English speaking people on technical support. And these guys were trained, so they physically had the product in front of them. They knew everything about the product, but they were supporting the customers remotely. That turned out to be a huge success. That center in Manila today employs over 1,000 people. Model was replicated in China, in Xi'an, for the Chinese-speaking people. It was replicated in Mexico for the Mexican-speaking people. It was replicated in Slovakia to support Eastern Europe. So again, initiatives that you take, sometimes they scale up. So think on that line, that if you take some initiative, think also the next step, that how do I make it scale up and make it more impactful? So that is some of the takes or some of the things which I want to share with you. Let's see, am I behind? No, I still have 10 minutes, okay. Then while I was doing all this, I was called from France, and the recruiter asked me that, look, we know you, so you don't have to sell yourself. We don't want you to sell. We want to sell ourselves to you, that you will come and join us. So I said, what are you selling me? He said, look, we are selling you a global position where you will have control to every market in the world. Today, you have control to 14 countries in the world in your Asia Pacific region, but I will give you control over every part of the world. And I'll give you complete flexibility to turn around the business. It was a $1 billion business, very soft margin, 1%, 2% EBIT, very soft top line, $1 billion. He said, turn it around. So I said, I will come only on 2 conditions. Condition 1 is that you must allow me to restructure the organization the way I think it should be done to make it more effective. Number 1. Number 2, you must give me free hand to implement these ideas, because I don't want to be a strategy guy who leaves a piece of paper and then walks away and lets somebody else handle the execution. No, I said I will make the plan and I will execute the plan. Then only you say I'm successful, because otherwise I'm only partially successful. So he said, I agree to both of that. Then he said that you have to then agree to one thing. You have to move to France and not to Paris. You have to move to a place called Lyon, which is 2 hours from Paris. And that is a tough choice for you. So I leave it to you, because everything else I will say, but I will not let you stay anywhere else other than Lyon. You have to come to Lyon. That is a make or break, as simple as that. Money, salary, title, blah, blah, everything I will do, but you have to come to Lyon. Make or break, make your deal, make your choice. So now there was a big question, right? On the face of it, it sounds very good that you are going to France, and people were saying, wow, you are going to France, must be a wonderful opportunity for you. And I also kind of was taken a little bit aback that, maybe an exposure to Europe will give me some more exposure. So I said, yes. I paid a price and I won it. What is the price I paid? Was that I was not able to take my family, my son and my wife along with me. So they lived in Hong Kong while I lived for 3 years in Lyon in France. There was a plus, there was a negative. The plus was, there's a negative on the family side. The plus side was that I got exposed to markets where I had no idea. For example, I went and opened up Russia. Before that, nobody knew what the Russian market was. I went and broke that market, or at least opened the door to that market, how to penetrate into Russia, because it's totally culturally different. I opened up a market in Turkey, not there before. Nobody knew the Turkish market, opened up Turkey. So there were a lot of learning, positive things. But the negative thing was family. I was missing family. The other positive thing was that it really then gave me an insight of what I enjoy doing, which I told you in the very beginning. Do what you enjoy doing. I then realized that I enjoy the role of a real consultant who understands like a specialized doctor, what is the problem, where is the problem, and how to fix the problem. That is what I enjoy. I don't want to be in sales. I don't want to be in marketing. I don't want to be into HR. I don't want to be in operation. I want to fix the whole business. I want to look at the whole human body and not say I'm an eye doctor or I'm a nose doctor or I'm a throat doctor. No, I will analyze you and I will fix you. That is what I really enjoy. So I decided that consulting or true consulting is my calling. Then I decided to make a move because France was not suiting me. Then a job came up in Beijing, again a global company. Their role was the role of a consultant. The title was VP, etc., whatever that is, but I had to work with McKinsey for 1 year. So that was my first practical exposure to a real consulting company, how they work. And for 1 year, we worked, and the objective was very simple: turn around the company in terms of profit, in terms of growth, in terms of profit, in terms of employee engagement, in terms of customer satisfaction, several parameters. Worked on all of them, huge learning. So that exposed me to consulting. And then after living in Beijing for a year and so, I felt that, look, now is the time. I'm 50. So now is the time for me to get back to my country and do something for my country. Because I have done for other people, a lot of things I've done, but I want to contribute to my country because this is where I belong. I decided to come back. And I read a book, and the book is called How Will You Measure Your Life? It is written by a Harvard professor, Professor Clayton Christensen. It says, how will you measure your life? This was a speech he gave at the convocation ceremony to the Harvard Business School graduates of MBA of the class of 2010, 10 years back. 10 years back, he told them how he thinks we should measure our life. And he said that you should fundamentally ask 3 questions. And each of these questions, 3 questions, are very deep. So the questions may seem simple, and I will not explain the details, but I will tell you that these 3 questions. The first question, he says, is that ask yourself, how will I be happy in my career? Mark the word happy. The second question, he says, how can I ensure that my family will be an enduring source of happiness for me throughout my life? He talked about happiness, he talked about family. The third thing, how do I ensure that I live a life of integrity, that people respect me because I am ethical, I am honest, I am true. There are deep levels of meaning into each of these questions. I will not go through this, a separate session on that, but these 3 questions. So when I looked at that book, which is still on my bedside, it's a very thin book, but I call it my Bible. My wife and other people, they tease me that why do you read that book again and again? I said, I find true inspiration from that book, because that is my Gita. That is telling me that how will I measure my life when I pass away from this world. So it is too early for you to maybe even think that deeper, but it is just some ideas to tell you how I look at the future. So I look at the future, what am I passionate about? So I want to make a difference in people's life. So I am starting my own management consulting company. My aim is to help businesses, and my aim is also to help youngsters like you, as well as young professionals who are in the middle of or in the early stages of their career, who want to get noticed and move up the career ladder. How to help them to do that. So these are my primary goals, which I want to establish through this venture that I'm setting now. So I've spent close to 2 years in thinking through it and looking at all the ways to do it, and narrowed down on these 2 areas, which will really, really make me effective and make me happy, make my family happy, and will affect in a very positive way, hopefully, all the people, including all of you who are listening onto this call. That is how I will finish my talk. I'm exactly on time, so I will leave 15 minutes to you to ask me questions.
Students, if you have any question, please come up with your queries. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Student, please, this is such a wonderful opportunity for you to connect with sir and take the benefit of sir's experience. So kindly come up with your questions.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sure, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So my name is Karki. And sir, I want to ask one question, that how convincing people in management can work for us? Like how we can work on our convincing skills?
Communication skills.
Convincing ones, sir, actually. Because right now I'm working in a sales department as an intern. So that convincing power you need to work on, so that you can be a good performer in that particular organization. So how that convincing power can be improved?
You have to think of two things. First is, what is the second act? What is the action that you want him to do after you finish the communication with him? Do you want him to make a decision? Do you want him to guide you to somebody else, or what? That's number one. Number two is, what is his pain point? What are you trying to solve? Show that as powerfully in your written and your oral communication, that what value am I going to add? So suppose I go to a client meeting. Normally, I never go and speak to the purchasing people, because the purchasing people are the worst. They will only talk about price. I go to the people who they sell, or their salespeople, and I say that, guys, you are in sales. When you sell your product, what are the problems you face? Then they tell me, look, this is the problem we face. The factory is doing this. The R&D is doing this. They tell their problem. Then I take all those inputs and go to the R&D guy and say, look, this is what you should do based on our research of your customer, not my customer. You are my customer, but I'm telling you what your customer is telling you. So there you add value. So you have to put yourself, what does that guy really want to get help on? Then you can convince him.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. This is Vandana Shri.
Yeah, Vandana.
Sir, I have a question. Like, after Corona, is there any chances, like we guys, like after passing MBA, there are the chances, like low chances of getting jobs, because now companies want to earn profit, because now last 52 days, like they are in a shutdown, so they haven't earned any profit. So will they hire us?
I will answer it in two ways. One is that even though there is a hiring freeze, you can call that, some company call it freeze, even though there is a hiring freeze or a downturn in hiring, hiring is going to pick up. But in the next 1 to 2 or maybe even 3 years, it is not going to come to the same level at what it was before COVID. That is given. So the reality is that recruitment will become a tougher process now. And that is why I said communication. You have to stand out among the 1,000 applications who comes to a recruiter, to a HR manager. You have to somehow stand out. Standing out is not only through your resume, but using your network. Do you know somebody in that company? Do you know somebody who knows the CEO of that company? Use your network. So your communication skill and your networking skill will help you during the post or COVID and post-COVID scenario, because your choices will be certainly limited now. No questions about it.
Thank you, sir, for the answer.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Tanya.
Sir, I want to establish my career in digital marketing as a freelancer. So would it be a great idea to begin with freelancing only, or should I go for industrial exposure first? Should I get some experience in that, then move to the freelancing?
My opinion is that if you go for freelancing, you will probably be exposed to more aspects of digital learning than if you go to a particular company or focus on a particular industry. Because let us say you choose an FMCG or an FMCD or a telecom, or you choose any sector. If you go into that, you'll be focused on creating the digital strategy for that particular company and for that particular segment. You will not be able to broaden your scope too much beyond your regular work time. But if you do freelancing, you will be exposed to much more variety of the different types of digital marketing which exist, which may not, which is a bigger set than the subset you will work if you choose one company or one industry. At this stage in your career, when you have time on your side, I would suggest explore.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
You guys have no other questions, or you're feeling sleepy after lunch?
No, sir. No.
That means that your session was sorted and that was very clear. So they might not be having much doubt.
Yes, sir. It was very informative for us.
Yeah, I left out one topic purposefully because I wanted to hear from you. I didn't talk about what does it take to become or crack the consulting firm's interview. Are you interested to know that?
Sir, definitely, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, sir.
Now everybody is open up. Now everybody is open up. Okay. So let's say you are aiming for the top 3. Let us say in management consulting, you are aiming at McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, and Bain. Let's say this is your top in management consulting. If you look into supply chain consulting, let's say your top company is A.T. Kearney. Or if you look at human resources consulting, your top company is Korn Ferry or Egon Zehnder. Okay, so these are the names and different aspects of business who are the most well-known in the consulting world. So how does the process work? The process is, first, remember the same thing which I said, communication. You have to get your resume right. A recruiter doesn't spend more than 5 to 30 seconds in going through a resume. If the resume is not written properly, the guy is not even willing to look at it. You know why? Because a consultant is a highly paid job. Each consultant, on an average, charges his customer or client $500 per hour. That is the value they command in the market. So their time is very precious. So if you are presenting something, instead of writing 5 lines in big fonts of 24 size and making it all over the place, which you can communicate through one sentence, that is more effective. So learn how to package yourself in the most attractive way in the shortest possible space of only one A4. I give you my example. About 5,000 interns applied for the position I opened up. 5,000 interns. I asked them, don't send me resumes. I don't want to go through resumes. Send me one-page write-up with these 3 particular things I want to know. Very specific instruction. Replies came. People had attached resume. People had attached the one-pager. Some of the resumes for a fresher went into 5 pages. Now, can you believe a fellow who is 5 pages is right, or a guy who has got no experience, he's writing 5 pages on a resume? It's absolutely not relevant. So I didn't even look at the resume. I looked at that one page. What was I looking for? I was looking for your mind. Because what the consultant is paid for is not of your strength or your beauty. It is your brain. I was looking at the brain power which has gone into writing that one-page document. Is your thinking logical? Are you answering my questions? If you are all over the place and trying to sell everything to me, I'm not interested. But if you focus on one and take me down that path and explain to me how you are thinking logically, then I'm interested. So that is how a consulting interview goes. The first stage is shortlisting, which is based on the one-page resume, which you have to make stand out. And I can, have a session with you on that. That's a separate topic. But once you meet the consultant in a face-to-face interview, don't even imagine they will ask you, oh, please tell me about yourself, or how was your, they will not ask anything which is written on your resume, nothing, because they all know that. They will spend their time in exploring your mind, that how does your mind think of a real situation. They'll give you a real case. They will not ask for a solution. They will ask questions to see how you are thinking. what questions you are asking, because that will give them an understanding that can you think deeper and deeper and deeper. That is the mind of the consultant. That is how consulting interview at a very top level. There are a lot of details under it, but at a very top level, this is how you crack a consulting interview.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, my name is Krishna Sharma. I am from MBA, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is cover letter play a vital role in resume? Because I saw culture of attaching cover letter in big organizations, sir.
Cover letter makes sense when the job description is very particular. In that case, what you want to do is that you want to hook onto that guy with the cover letter, explaining how you can add value to that position you are applying for. Because your resume is more like a paintbrush of your entire profile. So it doesn't go into too much detail. It's just painting you as a brush. The cover letter is like a zoom. It zooms onto a certain area which you want to highlight, which you cannot do if you have a one-page resume. But the cover letter gives you that flexibility to zoom on an aspect which you think is important for that guy to listen to.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we have received few questions from the participants. I'll read it out. Like, how can we manage our stress during this pandemic? From one of the MBA student, Anurag Dikshit. So,
Yes. Stress, first of all, it is very normal to have stress. It is not only because of COVID, otherwise also you might have stress. Stresses come in every way. So never imagine that you will have a stress-free life. You will always have some or the other kind of stress, whether more stress or less stress, but stress will be a fact. Now, how do you channelize your stress into something which is positive is what you should think for. So before you start looking at the stress, first look at things you enjoy to do. For example, you enjoy to just lie down and sleep. For example, you enjoy to listen to some music. You enjoy to read some comics. For example, I enjoy reading Tinkle comics. So even at my age, I can relate to a child by talking about all the characters in Tinkle magazine, which some of you may not know. But I know. I know all the characters in the Tinkle magazine. So I enjoy it. So there are things that you enjoy. So try to spend more time on those things which you particularly enjoy than taking the stress, and you will see that automatically you will release yourself.
thank you, sir. I'm taking another question. This is from Chetan Gandhi. How we can evaluate that we can adapt our hobbies into profession?
Yes. So for example, you have a hobby, let us say, for photography, let's say, or you have a hobby for birds, so say. But your education, let us say, is in computer science or artificial intelligence and things like that. So I have an intern with me who's doing a project and I'm guiding him. He says that, sir, I know a lot about artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, big data, cloud, blah, blah. You ask me anything, I know everything, I've exposed to it. But my love is natural life. I want to explore natural life. So I said, okay, let us do one thing, is that you create a tool by which you can capture the image of a bird, any bird which you have not seen before, and then look into machine learning and your database to categorize that particular bird into a certain category, which is called, that field of study is called, or a field of work is called ornithology or something like that, where there's one very famous guy in our country who does that. But that is one way that you can turn your hobby into actually a profession. So each hobby that you have, think how it can get you into fashion or into something which is your career. So, I mentioned fashion. There's a guy who said that I am very interested in fashion, a girl. So I said, okay, here is a chance for you. Now look at the situation. Okay? Look at the situation now. If you look at the ultra high net worth individual, people who buy Chanel or people who buy Hermes, people who buy all the top brands in Europe or Italy or France, or the top brands in India like Ritu Berry and all the other big names which are there. Today, their shopping is a bit of a problem because they cannot go to the shop. But their need is different. They want to try the dress. They want to see the fitting of the dress. They want to walk in front of a long mirror to say how do they look on the face. They want a much better experience. So you can create a virtual space for them to be able to sell their product using these virtual mediums. So you are a consultant and you go to Ritu Berry for India, for example, and says, ma'am, I will give you this tool which will allow your customer, and your customer, let's say I'm a customer and I want to buy a nice sari. So I go to Ritu Berry and I say, Ritu, my height is this, my weight is this is my dimension. I'm looking for saris. Then some sari collection comes. I say, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this. I like the cut of this, I like the shape of this, blah, blah. You make choice. Then automatically the computer is able to figure out a dress for you. Then you say, this kind of maybe will look good on me. Now make it look good on me. So then that dress will be put on a virtual model. And that virtual model will walk in a ramp, which you will see in front of your eyes in your screen, that how would you look in that dress wearing and walking. And that will make you think more that, hey, you know what, it kind of looks good, let me try it. So you will buy it. So you can turn your hobbies or your interest into an actual product or into an actual offering to a customer.
Thank you so much, sir. And as we are paucity of time, so take some more questions or
I'm okay with time. I mean, I'm open. If you guys have questions, shoot. No issues.
Oh, great. Sure.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I need to ask that what can be the new challenges we can face in our work environment after this lockdown? What kind of work environment we can expect?
Okay. You might like to read a book by Professor Clayton Christensen, which talks about disruptive technologies. So what is going to change your life is the disruption which is happening and which is going to happen. There are 3 disruptions which are very clear to us. One disruption is a disruption caused by disease, which is making people to react in a certain way. Different groups of people, different sections of society, but it is impacting people. So one big block is disruption by a disease. The second block of disruption is the disruption brought about by technology. So we have things like artificial intelligence, we have things like IoT, we have things like machine learning, cloud computing. So all these technologies are bringing a change in the business model of organization. So you have to be able to adapt to it. So adapting to these disruption will make you successful in your future career. And the second one, which I said is very important, which is disruption by technology. And it is mostly by IT-enabled technology. The third disruption is the changing preferences or the changing expectations from consumers. Let me give you an example. When you were a kid, or when I was a kid, when you guys were not even born, my mother used to say, drink milk. I would say, nahi, doodh nahi pina. Then she would say, if you drink for 10 days, I will give you a nice red ball. So I would drink it for 10 days, get the ball, then say, okay, what next? So there had to be an incitement for me to drink the milk. In today's scenario, mothers will mix Bournvita, Cadbury, or some other malt product to make the kid drink the milk. But does the mother know that what calorie intake or what sugar intake is actually going into the ingredient she is adding to her kid's milk? She doesn't know. According to the research which some of my students or some of my interns are working on this project, they are looking at is that our kids are actually consuming more sugar through their malted food than they should. So the question then becomes, if the mother is more educated, that look, mom, if you want to have your kids drink milk, but if you want to make sure it is also healthy, you must look at these ingredients. If they do not meet that ingredients, don't buy it. Buy something else. That is another market you are opening up. So that is because of increased consumer awareness. Right? So increased consumer awareness, for example, for for packaging industry. Let's say packaging industry, let's look at that. Today, people don't realize that the plastics that we throw away, and we use huge amount of plastic. And I have one intern who is working on the packaging industry. Packaging throws away a lot of landfill. You know, landfill where they dig the land and throw the plastic, or they simply dump it into the river, or you can see the stories of Rishikesh and those places where they throw it in the Ganga. They pollute the water. And in bigger situations, they pollute the seawater. So they cause a huge amount of damage to the environment, which will affect not us right now, but it will affect my children. It will affect your children when they come 10 years or 15 years down the line. So if I am made aware that the plastic that I'm buying is recyclable, then I'm more inclined towards that brand than somebody who says, who doesn't care. So increased consumer awareness of certain things will be the third disruptor. So you have to be prepared to face all this.
Thank you, sir. Another question from one of the participants is how we can build up our business in such marketing in this critical situation.
Okay. To make the answer short is find a need. Find a need which does not exist today, or find a need which is being fulfilled, but not being fulfilled very fully. And then try to see if there is a business opportunity. Let me give you an example, because example is the best way to learn. Let us say today, we want to buy household items. So my wife, she has got Amazon, she has got Flipkart, she has got Big Basket, she has got Milk Basket, she has got at cost, like that 5 different apps. Okay. But when I walk out of the house in the evening or in the morning with my dog, I find that the local thelawala, whose mangoes look even better than what I got through these apps, his shop still has unsold mangoes at the end of the day because he is not connected to the ecosystem. So if you think that this is an opportunity to get involved in a hyper local kind of market scenario, where within your home, you create radius within 500 meters, within 1 kilometer, what is available fresh comes to you and not from an Amazon guy sitting, if you are in Gurgaon, not an Amazon guy bringing up from Faridabad through Delhi to Gurgaon. Instead, I get it straight from the guy next door. That is a business opportunity. So look for needs which are there and which is not met, which is there, which is met, but is not met fully, and which is met, but is kind of doing an okay job. Don't go there. Look at the ones which do not exist. That is your fresh ground, or the ones which needs improvement, where you can actually learn from others and straight away jump.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I guess you have cleared up all the doubts. So I don't think we have any another questions. So thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful, insightful, informative, and inspiring webinar on the prevailing issue, which is indeed the need of our. We are truly grateful for the time and effort that you took to share your thoughts and experience with the students. Students will definitely be benefited. This will help us face the challenges efficiently and equipped for the growth. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. I will leave the presentation with one last sentence.
Arup sir, I request all of you please switch on your videos so that we can take the group photograph. Students and faculty members, please switch on your video.
Videos. This is required for the photos.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
We need
So
to
put on. You are not giving them time to put on some lipstick and makeup.
We want it to be natural one, sir.
Okay, Krishna, please.
You are the star today, so your pick is the priority for us.
Shivani, Pushpa, Surabhi Singh Ban. Please, all of you, please. I request all of you, please switch on your video.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Arjun, this side.
Yep, videos on your videos.
We can see up to Mohit, Shrishti, Somya, Abhishek, Shikha, Yugnesh, Pradeep, Dheeraj, Abha, Gunjan, Akriti, Sumit, Krishna, Arjun, Vaishnav,
Yes.
Ajay, Abhay, sorry, Gargi, Vandana, Tanya, Drishti, Ashwini, Shailaja, Shikha, myself, and Dr. Kaurav.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Dheeraj, you are looking dark. Can you make sure that you are lighted up a little bit? Yeah, now, but I can see your glasses for sure.
So, okay, I'll take the photograph. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I will leave this meeting with my best wishes to all you guys. And one last piece of advice, which I have been, probably you have heard me say that again and again, but I will quote one famous person just to make sure I got it right. That is communication. You might have heard of Warren Buffett. Have you heard of Warren Buffett?
Yes,
He
sir.
is one of the richest person in the world, and he owns Berkshire Hathaway. So Christian Amanpour is the CNN chief correspondent. Christian Amanpour once was interviewing Warren Buffett when Warren came out of Columbia Business School after giving his convocation address, and Warren is from Columbia Business School. So Christian asked him, Warren, what is one piece of advice you want to tell the graduating class of MBA? He said, there's one piece of advice I want to give all of you, is that if you want to get 50% output more in your life, whether money or whether it is recognition, whatever you count on, you will get 50% more if you excel in one skill, which is communication. That's what he said. It is live there on YouTube. You can see that interview.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You guys.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.